My prison dog stories come at two extremes. When I first got to Nottoway, they had attack dogs, and if you were fighting or you were out of line, they would just release the dog. One guy came back from rec to find out his TV had been stolen, so he asked around, found out who did it, and went to confront the guy. When the guy wouldn't give it back, they started fighting. Unfortunately, the guy who had his TV stolen couldn't fight very well, so he ended up getting knocked on the ground. The other guy was on top of him, beating him unconscious. When the officers responded to the fight call, the canine officer let the dog loose, and rather than getting the guy on top, he latched onto the leg of the guy who was unconscious on the ground and just started pulling him across a pod, turning his leg into hamburger. So not only did he get his TV stolen, and not only did he get knocked out, but he got his leg absolutely mauled because the officer had no control over his dog. On the other hand, when I got to Buckingham, I was excited because they had a dog training program, and it took me 12 years to get in the honor pod. When I finally did, I got to spend a bunch of time with Quinn, the most amazing pit bull you've ever seen. So yeah, my prison dog stories were kind of at opposite extremes. If I could make changes to the prison system, the first and foremost change would be to focus on rehabilitation rather than punishment, because the vast majority of prisoners are getting out one day, and we can have reformed returning citizens, or we can have people further traumatized by their prison experience, and therefore more likely to reoffend. This starts with accountability. The restorative justice model focuses on people taking responsibility for the consequences of their action. So whether or not the victims want to participate in the restorative process, we can start with accountability. Further, we can empower and train guards to actually be correctional officers, to actually be part of the rehabilitative process. There's already an amazing organization called Amend doing this with the Oregon and North Dakota prison system because they said, hey, we have all the evidence in the world that our system is not working and that the Norwegian model works much better, so why don't we just do what works? In general population in prison, they don't care if you don't eat because you have guys who never go to the chow hall, who only eat out of their box or pay kitchen workers to bring them special items. In the hole, though, they keep a record of every meal you refuse, and after 3, they have to alert the administration, and after 6, they have to declare it a hunger strike. A hunger strike means bringing in civilian and security staff as well as mental health. This is such a huge pain in the ass that they'll usually just give the guy whatever he wants to go off his hunger strike. If he doesn't, they can transfer him to the hospital and force feed him through a tube. We had one guy from the California system come back to the hole and teach him about hunger strikes, teach him how to deal with tear gas, he just messed everything up, and they hated that guy and ended up getting rid of him. Tonight, I went to a wonderful celebration. That's an incredibly successful businessman next to a formerly incarcerated man next to a former U.S. attorney. Together, and with the work of an amazing team, they've given out more than $1 million in microloans that have helped returning citizens get on their feet and succeed. This is what criminal justice reform can look like, bringing people back into a community and making it stronger rather than keeping them stuck on the outside forever.